Got Instagram on the line. So stop your scroll right there. Do not scroll another scroll at all. No more thumb swipes. My name is Ren Jones, and I'm bringing you a quick and dirty live broadcast. The honest, honest truth about the tummy. We need to have a really honest conversation about the midsection, your goals regarding it, what you don't understand about it. And I wanted to get that first because I know a lot of people are going to see this on a replay, and I don't want you to see me on the replay waiting for people to show up because that's not ever great. So now that I got that out of the way, and hopefully I've hooked you into staying with me for about 15 or 20 minutes. My name is Ren Jones. I'm a certified personal trainer. I am a certified corrective exercise specialist, a certified level 1 and level 2 nutrition coach. I'm certified in women's coaching as a women's coaching specialist through Girls Gone Strong. Great organization. Shout out to Molly. I want to give that shout out every time. And I've got 3 certifications in coaching through menopause. One from Girls Gone Strong, one from MedFit, Dr. Carla D, and one through Stacy Sims, Menopause 2.0. I work specifically with women over 30 as a population. I unfortunately lost my mother to lifestyle related issues, lost 2 sisters to lifestyle related issues. At that point, I quit my corporate job, dove into this passion. I've been here for about 10, 11 years now, doing this specifically online. So, welcome to my Friday morning live broadcast. It's about 8:03, 8:04. And once again, I'm like a broken record this week. And once again, sunny Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm here to give you the quick and dirty on this topic that is really very pervasive in the wellness space in the fitness community, and that's the midsection, man. Whether you want to call it the tummy, whether you want to call it the 6 pack, the 4 pack, whether you want a flat stomach, I have a tendency to stay away from sort of diet culture based peaktopia. I have a tendency to stay away from sort of diet culture mentality conversations as a coach who's presenting information on the internet. Because I know that a lot of what attracts people on social media isn't very responsible when there are people that are paying attention to the things that you say and developing their self beliefs based on what on the content that you're producing on these platforms. But I also understand that if these topics are going to be explained and talked about, excuse me, got that diet culture in my throat. If these topics are going to be explained and talked about, they need to be explained and talked about from a standpoint of compassion, competence. I know what you're talking about. Evidence based information. So that's why I'm here today. So let's dive in. I want to talk about this whole obsession with the tummy, the flat tummy, the 4 pack, the 6 pack, whatever, what have you, in terms of particularly women consumers on the internet and social media more specifically. And let's just break down first, sort of anatomy, right? Let's go with the science first. There will not be a lot of egghead over explaining super sciencey talk here. I like to keep things simple. Before I get into it, I got to pay the bills. 2 things that I always do in these live broadcasts before I start, particularly during enrollment week. Number one, I want to shout out to my shirt, Peaktopia. My friends Jen and DJ, they own this studio, Peaktopia, in Apex, North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina right now. They are good friends of mine. I met them through the Online Trainer Academy mentorship. One of the other jobs that I have is I work for an organization that teaches coaches the business of fitness and the business of fitness online. So I was their mentor. We've become good friends. I went down and did a menopause specific talk for their members several months ago, and said, "Hey, can you pay me in a shirt?" But I love their shirt, Peaktopia. Shout out to you if you're in Apex, surrounding areas, Raleigh, etc. Go see them. They got a great little studio. It's awesome. They're awesome, and they're awesome humans and incredible coaches. Number two, I am in the center of my enrollment week. I enroll clients once a month for a week long. This is that week. So if you're a woman over 30 who wants to build their healthiest body, healthiest relationship with their body, and a healthier relationship with food without restricting calories or counting calories or doing macronutrients, then my 12-week signature program might be the right fit for you. Just DM me the word live, LIVE. We'll have a quick chat in the DMs to see if things might fit for you, and we'll take it from there. In any case, let's get into it. So when we talk about the tummy, I remember the rise of all this tummy talk, particularly having abs. I remember it as early '90s. Janet Jackson and Britney Spears. Britney in the schoolgirl outfit, crop top. Janet in the crop top on that beach video where she was somebody's right. Love will never do without you. I remember that. That was the video that I remember. It sparked all the talk. I remember the time people said Janet Jackson had a rib removed, and that's how her waist got so small. Like I honestly don't know where people come up with this stuff, but in any case, that video had Jamon Hansu in it, who's now a famous actor from Amistad and um, and Gladiator. He was. I just realized that. But in any case, I remember it all started then. Ever since, it seems like the fitness and wellness space, definitely diet culture, has been ab crazy, going ab crazy for women, and it's caused some issues and some misunderstandings. So let's talk about the anatomy really quickly. First of all, what we call the abs, rectus abdominis, is actually one muscle, right? People talk about upper abs and lower abs and center abs. It's just one muscle. It's one muscle, and it's sort of it's separated by tissue called the linea alba, right? And that's if you see the sort of the cross stitch, the tic tac toe lines of the abs, that's just a sheath of material. Linea alba. This also can be found in your mouth. So a lot of times when I talk to dental professionals, I've coached a few. They resonate with that because they know it from their studies. So what's going on down there is that everyone's got a genetic difference in what's happening here. Whether there's body fat over it or not, that's notwithstanding whether they work out hard or not, there's a genetic difference here. Not dissimilar to height, right? That's an important point we're going to circle back to in this conversation because it's important, y'all. But for some people, they have more dense muscle bellies. And by muscle belly, I don't mean the muscle that's in your belly. I mean the peak of the muscle. If you look at it like, hey, I got this. It's my little timer and it's my wallet. If you look at it like this, the height of this little box would be the muscle belly. The height of this wallet would be the muscle belly. So some people's abs protrude more than others, and that tissue that separates them is deeper down in the valley. So this person might only need to get down body fat a little bit before those ridges in the abs start peaking. And this person might need to lose way more body fat to melt it down to the point where you see this sticking out. I hope that makes sense the way I'm explaining it. It's a rudimentary explanation, but everybody's got different muscle bellies and everybody's got a different depth of the tissue that runs through that abdominal wall. So at certain body fat percentages, some people will see abs peak out, and at certain body fat percentages, another woman will just have a flatter tummy. So there's nothing that's going to change your specific layout, like your pattern in these abs, a fingerprint. So sometimes when you see someone, particularly in the population that I serve, women, sometimes we see a woman online with very, very deep cut abdominal separation, and maybe you admire that and maybe you don't, notwithstanding. I mean, you can like it or not like it. But sometimes when you see that Instagram, sometimes when you see that Facebook, you'll be promised that if you follow her regimen, whether it's nutrition or whether it's exercise, you'll produce the same quality. I am 5'7" tall, 5'7". I wasn't blessed with height. I was blessed with personality and a winning smile. But at 5'7", it would be like me watching a video of, let's say, LeBron James. and he's doing squats and telling me that if I squat the same way that he does, and if I put my headband on the way he does in the morning, right, get ready with me, and if I eat the same things that he does and I do those squats, I'll get to his height, right? And it's NBA time for me, baby. Not true. I am genetically predisposed to be this height. People, hardcore lifters will tell you genetics don't matter. They absolutely fucking do. Sorry for the French. They absolutely matter. One of the most mattering things in mattering about your body is genetics, right? No matter how much I stretch, how much I jump, how much I squat, I'm only going to be this tall, right? Similarly, no matter how much I exercise, work out, eat well, how much weight I lift, my body will never look like Arnold Schwarzenegger's body did in his peak as a bodybuilder. I genetically do not have the capacity for putting on that much muscle, right? For having shoulders that are that rounded, a chest that's that broad. There are genetic predispositions that we live with. The tummy's a great example of people absolutely acting like that's not science. Oh, if you just work hard enough, you can have abs like mine. No, you can't. You can have your version of what that same work produces, and and how it's expressed through your genetic predisposition. But you can't move your abdominal muscles around. The leanest I ever got was about 8% body fat, 8 or 9. I did that for a competition, a fitness competition. A year after my sister died, I did a fitness competition, and I was doing that work throughout the course of that year as a way to express the grief, as a way to express focusing on something that I felt was more positive. So got down to that percentage. And what I found with my abs was that they were off centered. Like they weren't perfect six packs side by side because my body is not built that way. So we have to first work with that understanding that there is genetic predisposition here, and it counts for what your body goals is that you may have developed as you're looking at other humans' bodies. You have to remember that we are individual snowflakes. We are special little flowers that may be similar to the flower or the snowflake beside us, but there's not another person exactly like us out there. That's important to know as you're being made these outlandish promises through your favorite social media influencer who may be taking advantage of your lack of knowledge, and definitely taking advantage of their own genetic predisposition. This is one area where they may have a more favorable genetic predisposition for this thing because nobody's better or worse than anybody else. But I wanted to start there because it's important to understand that this is what's going on here, what's actually underneath here. We got that out of the way. Let's talk about what you may be seeing in terms of your tummy if you are having a if you're having a less than enjoyable relationship with your own physical state, right? So when women approach me about wanting to lose weight from their midsection, et cetera, there are a few things that I know that are possibilities of what's happening. I'm going to run down everything that may be happening here in the midsection and what the possible solution is a strong word because there's nothing wrong with you, but what the possible methodology might be to change it to something that's more desirable in your eyes. Part of everything that we do exercise wise is sort of predicated on the fact that uh, we are probably approaching ourselves with a little bit less self acceptance and devaluing ourselves a little bit more than we probably should. And that's okay. It happens to everybody. We've all got something out there that we want to be and do and seem like. But in any case, let's run them down. So I'll go from simplest maybe to most complex. So um, the most simplest situation is you just got excess belly fat, excess adipose tissue along the trunk of the body, right? Now, this is something that women in the perimenopause to postmenopause spectrum complain to me about a lot, particularly if that's never been a place where they've had body fat distributed, right? You're going from what we call a gynoid fat distribution, that's women, to an android fat distribution, that's more of a male fat distribution. Men have a greater tendency to deposit extra energy stored as fat into their midsection. And usually, for most women, they have a greater tendency to deposit fat in the hips, buttocks, thighs, and often in the chest. So one thing that we see happening in that period of postmenopause phase is not only that there may be extra weight gain, and that's not due to hormones specifically, the weight gain itself, but the fact that the weight gain may start to redistribute itself in the midsection. So first thing that could be going on, belly fat, right? So if I wanted to get around that, Ren, what might I do? Well, at that point, you're committing yourself to an exercise routine. You're committing yourself to a nutritional protocol that, at the very least, prevents you from overeating. You're committing to stress response skill set, right? Finding the methodologies to help you reduce overall stress, because stress can add into the tendency for your body to distribute fat in the midsection. You're committing to great sleep, right? Making sure you're getting adequate rest to the extent that you can. Again, that's another challenge in the peri to postmenopause spectrum. And you're committing to patience. That's right, patience, the P word that nobody likes. And I say patience because it usually takes quite a while. Everybody's different, but it usually takes quite a while for your body to start to want to release fat from the midsection. We have an old adage in the fitness and wellness space, and the adage is first to gain, last to lose. And what we're saying about that is that the place that people normally gain weight first, for some reason, anecdotally, it feels like that's always the last place that they lose weight from. First to gain, last to lose, right? Now, I don't have any science there, but as an observer, I've seen that sort of play out, and I know it plays out for me. The first places that I usually gain weight, if I gain weight, and there's nothing wrong with gaining weight. Let me be clear about that. Bodies change over time; that's natural. But the first place that I've noticed that I've gained weight is when usually the last place that I notice I lose it from. However, what's happened so often, particularly in the 2000s and above, is because we started to, not we, because the diet industry, because the sort of patriarchal beauty standards that fluctuate all the time, but because they started leaning into that Kardashian esque body, um, don't get me started on that. Um, when I began working with women and they started to see weight loss, they would sometimes start losing body fat from their hips and buttocks first, and sometimes they would start losing body fat from their chest, which is primarily all body fat, and they would want to stop. I've seen ridiculous programs on the internet entitled things like "Lose Your Gut, but Not Your Butt." Dumbest shit I've ever heard. That's not the way bodies work. That's the way it probably worked for the individual who's selling it. Her genetic predisposition was when she started working out, her body released fat from her midsection first and not so much from her buttocks or from her breast. Also, you have a lot of very lean women who opted for cosmetic surgery. Nothing wrong with that. Do what you want with your body. It's your body. Do whatever you choose. But because they were already lean, they add a few cc's on the right and the left. And now they've got what appears to be a voluptuous body with a very minimal waist, the snatched waist, another stupid ass term on the internet. But, you know, in most cases, as women are getting down to the level of body fat through exercise and nutrition, that would probably show a 4 pack or 6 pack, or at least reduce the circumference of their waist. They also notice that they're losing body fat from other areas. that may make them feel a little bit less attractive, what for their ideal of what they like their body to do. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, you get to decide what you want to do with your body. That's autonomy matters. It's not my job to tell anybody what to do with their body. But so that's the first thing. So if it's simple body fat, then you've got the option of what's probably going to be a fairly rigorous exercise and nutrition routine. The next thing that's possible that's happening there is diastasis recti, right? And this is a term commonly associated with postnatal moms, because as they are carrying their child, right, for carrying a child to term, what can happen is the abdominal wall can start to separate and open up, and you'll see what some people refer to as a mommy pouch. I swear to God, these names, like, I feel like there's an octopus with a dartboard, and some idiot writes hateful names about women's body parts, and every 30 days the octopus just throws all the darts and see where they land, and then for the next 3 years we have these stupid terms like mommy pooch or whatever. But in any case, that's a separation of the muscle of the abdominal wall. In that case, you want to talk to probably your OBGYN, maybe even a pelvic physiotherapist, because there are very specific challenges in exercising with that separation. There are a lot of physiotherapists and physical therapists that I've seen on social media, on Instagram, Facebook specifically, that can help with that. But at that point, you've got a separation of the abdominal wall, and no amount of cutting carbs, which you shouldn't cut carbs in the first place. Another conversation for another time. No amount of planks or sit-ups or any of those or waist training is going to repair that. You need to talk to a medical professional about how to approach that, how to work out with it. There are some exercise techniques that can be had there, but you definitely want to make sure that you approach this from the standpoint of the FUPA. That's right. Hey Kim, from the standpoint, you see what shirt I got on today, Kim? You definitely want to approach that from the standpoint of working with a qualified professional who understands what's going on there. The next thing that you could be seeing down there is just extra skin. This excess or extra skin, it could be a function of having gained weight at some point in your life and having lost weight at another point in your life. This is one of the reasons why I'm not really into rapid weight loss. Again, a conversation for another time. It could be a result of pregnancy and being postpartum. You've got loose skin. I've seen all types of ads for all types of creams, butters, dry brushing, saran wrap with avocado oil on your. I've seen all the batshit crazy things that people advertise on social media to shrink up your skin. Right? Not a thing. In this case, you may be electing for some type of cosmetic procedure to remove the excess skin, abdominoplasty, something like that. That's the truth of that particular situation. The next thing that you could be dealing with is just simple bloat, right? You have to understand that your body is supposed to respond to the things that you eat and drink. So I've seen so many people say they wake up in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, my stomach looks beautiful, Renan. Then by the end of the day, it's sticking out. I'm like, because you're blessed to be able to eat when you want to eat. You have food in your refrigerator, water, clean water that you have access to, a host of other drinks. When you get hungry, you get to eat. And what's going to happen is your stomach's going to be a little bit distended from eating all day. On top of the fact that if you have any allergies or if you have any intolerances, foods and eat those certain foods, you're going to get a little gaseous, and it's going to cause bloat, right? We are living, breathing, changing organisms susceptible to all types of stimulus. The stimulus creates responses in us that pretty much are to keep us alive and to correct anything that's going on internally. Bring us back to what we call homeostasis. $100 word that just means bring your body back to where it wants to be. And yes, if you're eating all day, particularly if you're eating things may not agree with your gastrointestinal system. Tummy's going to look different. You can learn methodologies to reduce the things that cause distension in your abdominal wall, bloat, or you can just deal with the fact that you're a human and you had a delicious slice of pizza at lunch, and the cheese bloated you. Like, either way to go here, but bloating is not an issue of your exercise or your ability to have a flat tummy. It's just an issue that you've eaten things throughout the day and they may cause a little extra bloat for you. So that's the next thing that could be happening there. And then the third thing is you're just really very self-conscious about that part of your body. Maybe somebody made remarks when you were younger. Maybe you're playing the comparison game all the time on social media. All those things are possible, but those are the situations that you could be dealing with in terms of what you see in regards to your tummy. So the last thing that could be happening, and the more dangerous of all of them, by the way, is that you have that intra-organ fat, that internal fat, visceral fat. And that's the fat that you can't see behind the abdominal wall. Like, it's not the stuff you can pinch. That's what we call subcutaneous fat. But the visceral fat is the intra-abdominal fat. It's intra-organ fat. And that's the most dangerous kind of body fat that you can have anywhere in your midsection. The great news, though, the great news is that what we see is, and you'd have to get a scan to be able to tell this, but what we perceive in the wellness space is that when you begin to exercise, right, vigorously or otherwise or just consistently, and when you begin to address your nutrition, so that you're eating a little bit more mindfully. When I say address nutrition, I don't mean cut everything down to you know, broccoli, sweet potato, pale chicken, 17 containers laid out on your table for the week. I just mean, when you're a little bit more mindful with your eating, going for nutrient dense things. But when those things happen, you'll see that it sort of corrects, right? It does better. One of the first types of fat that we can get to release from the midsection is that internal visceral fat, and that might frustrate you as you get on your journey. I know it frustrates my clients because they don't see the results that they're getting, but they get those medical visits and they realize their A1C is down, their blood sugar levels have reduced, they've reduced their overall blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera. And reducing visceral fat is a big help there in that context. There's one more thing that I didn't mention, and that's just that the gut microbiome, right? The living organisms that reside in your gut, they play a big role in this too. That's probably a live broadcast for another time. I want to keep this one relatively simple. So let's recap some of the things that we talked about here. Number one, the reason that you may be feeling as if you are thicker in your abdominal section, your midsection, can be many, and they are varied. Some are can be attenuated through exercise and nutrition. Some can't, right? The other thing that we need to consider is genetic predisposition. We're all made and built differently. And because your midsection is a little bit thicker than the next person's midsection, it's not an indication of overall poor health necessarily, right? Sometimes we get so caught up looking at the box that we don't look in the box, right? We've got to be mindful, and this is pervasive in the medical community too. We've got to be mindful of not just glancing at someone and connecting what their symptoms are to what our bias is about the size and shape of their body, right? There's a reason that you can do a blood pressure test relatively easily. There's a reason why it's easy to take the heart rate of a person. There's a reason why you can do a fasted test for blood sugar readings, because those things, and cholesterol, those internal markers are much more an indication of actual health than our sight line as to how this person looks, and then attempting to play doh their symptoms into what our bias is about their body. it's unfair to you as a self judgment, and it's unfair to you as a biased judgment from someone in the fitness or wellness space or someone that's in the medical community. What's inside the package is just as, if not more so, important than what the package looks like itself. So nutrition, exercise can help you with these with the health and minimize the abdominal fat around your midsection to the extent that you feel comfortable with the probably more significantly rigid method that you're going to have to employ to get there. Um, Being aware that a lot of what you see on social media is a result of surgical procedure, right? Nothing wrong with that. Every woman gets to choose what she wants to do with her own body. More power to you. Like if you love the idea and and that's what you want to do, absolutely do it. I don't agree with judging women for what they choose to do with their own body. It's their body. You get to choose what you want to do with it. It's not our Nobody else's body is your business unless you're talking about a child that you've given birth to. Other than that, nobody else's body is any of your fucking business. Point blank, period. But you can attenuate it that way. But understanding what you're actually dealing with, if it's loose skin, it's probably going to require some type of surgical procedure. If it's diastasis recti from giving birth and the separation of that abdominal wall, probably want to consult your OBGYN or the very, very least pelvic physiotherapist or a physical physiotherapist, someone who specializes in postpartum care at the very least, right? If it's bloating, you can choose to change your nutritional habits, right? If it's a visceral fat, you may not be able to see it, but if you know that you haven't been exercising, if you know you haven't been eating nutrient dense food, you've got a choice to do that, right? And if it's regular old body fat that's underneath the skin, that's subcutaneous fat, the stuff that we can pinch, then you have the opportunity to choose an exercise regimen, a nutrition regimen, and patience to allow your body to decide that it wants to target that. And if it's a side effect of going into the perimenopause, the postmenopause um, spectrum of your life, there are things that can be done to attenuate it at that point. Um, and most of it's going to deal with the expertise of the person helping you through that because your hormonal shift, although the shift in hormones is not a cause of extra body fat, it's not the cause of weight gain. Um, that shift can cause a redistribution of where your body's more likely to gain weight. Again, going from a gynoid weight gain, womanly weight gain, usually hips and thighs and chest, to an android weight gain, more like men, where all the weight seems to be centered in the trunk, in the midsection. And you can hire a well informed, triple certified menopause coaching specialist. I don't know where you can find one of those, but it's time for me to pay the bills again. I hope you enjoyed that discussions. And I'm currently enrolling uh, 5 moms over 30. Enrollment ends on Sunday. Enrollment for my 12-week signature program, the Women's Liberation Movement. If you're a woman over 30 who wants to build her healthiest body, and her best relationship with that body, while also building her best and most quality relationship with food without counting calories, without counting macronutrients, without weighing or measuring food, and without spending all of your life in the gym. My program might be a good fit for you. DM me the word live, LIVE, or live, same word, and we'll have a chat about what might work for you and see if we need to go forward. Until next time, until tomorrow morning, I'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Until tomorrow morning, let's keep it simple. Instagram, thanks for rocking with me. Until tomorrow, everybody else, let's keep it simple.